Namaskara, and thank you very much, Vasudev and Vani, for heartily welcoming me once more. I have very great regard for meditation and study circle, and it's very commendable that starting in 1979, this platform has been serving the society every Monday in English, every Tuesday in Kannada. Scholars have been coming and delivering lectures here, and it fills my heart with great delight to be one of the resource persons for this really wonderful organization or institution. Yes, as rightly said by Vasudev, we have this word consciousness at the very center of Hindu philosophy, Vedanta, the Vedas, call as you may. Consciousness. This word is used, let me clarify at the outset, in many ways by different writers, speakers, and different philosophies. The lay usage of this word is not applicable for our consideration today, but to include it in elaborating on the topic, somebody, we say, falls unconscious. We even use the expression, oh, she fell down, she lost her consciousness. So the lay usage, not much philosophically, but common people consider consciousness to be that attribute of a human being, or for that matter, any creature, when in the case of the human being, he or she is aware of the outer world, the world which is very many times the reference point for us. Sometimes to check whether somebody is hearing or not, we make a sound. Are you hearing me? And sometimes to check whether somebody's eyes are all right, we lift our hand and show some number. How many fingers are you seeing here? So I carefully said, this world, this waking world, as Vedanta calls it, is the reference point for many contexts, and Vedanta doesn't think the waking world is really deserving of being such a reference point. It's like there is somebody in the town, and for every solution you go to him, and he doesn't know much, but somehow he has become very popular. For any solution from A to Z, you go to that man, sir, what do you say? Now, there are other people who are more knowledgeable. However, somebody becomes much sought after for various wrong reasons, more wrong reasons than the right reasons. Coming back, this waking world, Vedanta would say, has been given undue importance. Waking world, Jagrad Avastha, has been made some kind of an unquestionable truth. So, very many times we say the waking world is as unreal as a dream, but within a minute we come back to, I may say, almost worship the waking world. The waking world and our sense of I in this waking world is made the reference point. Just like, we have something called Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, and I guess there are one or two other references. Our Indian time is considered 4.5 hours ahead or 5.5 hours ahead of GMT. Now you may wonder what is so special about GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. So Greenwich, I guess, is a city in England, and that is the reference. And all other countries in the world, according to that good old standard, are described as having a time zone in contrast or in relation to the Greenwich Mean Time. Why not Bangalore Mean Time and let all other countries have, you know, their time zone defined in relation to Bangalore? You may say, why should we give importance to Bangalore? I would answer, because meditation and study circle operates from Bangalore. So these English people, because at one time they ruled so many countries, made some town in their country the reference. So waking state, this may be a bit difficult for some of you to understand, but this waking state actually doesn't deserve all that importance as is given to it. So somebody lost consciousness. We would say he is no more aware of the sounds of this waking state, no more aware of the colors or forms of this waking state, taste, sound, smell, etc. So it is in reference to something which is of questionable credentials. Having said it, let me clarify. The Vedanta would say whether lay people call somebody conscious or having lost his consciousness, he fell down unconscious, murchavastha, etc. words used for it. The Vedanta says it makes no difference to what he actually is. Even in the so-called murcha avastha, fainted, or in the medical context, sometimes there is something called comatic state. He went into coma, and otherwise, every 24 hours, many of us or all of us go for some deep, dreamless sleep at times, a few hours, and sometimes in the waking state also, we take a break, listening to a lecture or while reading some book for a couple of minutes, we are off. This is all lay usage. Philosophically, Vedantically speaking, even when we have gone off using the ordinary language, we are as conscious as ever. Consciousness has no break. I had done a presentation 2 or 3 months ago, and the title itself was This Light Without a Break. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad has a mantra to that effect. Nahi drashtur drishter viparilopo vidyate. That drishti, that capacity to see, which is consciousness according to Vedanta, has no viparilopa, no lapse. It ever is shining. Not even for a microsecond or millisecond or nanosecond or a picosecond or go further. Not even for the tiniest unit of time or a gap of time, this consciousness that you and I are takes a break. In death, again, death is a lay word. There is no death to the pure self. You and I do not die at all. We are the same pure self. Now, this he lost his consciousness, she fell unconscious, etc., is a certain usage of the word consciousness in ordinary parlance. Now, before I go to the Vedanta's meaning of consciousness, about which I have unintentionally said a couple of things so far, but before I get into it systematically, many authors, many speakers use the word consciousness almost akin to content of the mind, no less than the great mystic and speaker J. Krishnamurti talked about human consciousness, and he often lamented there has been violence in human consciousness from time immemorial, he would say. The human brain has inherited violence. The human brain has had some inexplicable insecurity in its consciousness. This usage is seen. Obviously, J. Krishnamurti's usage of the word consciousness again is at variance. It is different from the way Vedanta uses the word consciousness. Pujya Swami Chidananda used to refer to this pure consciousness, number one, very many times with the adjective pure, and other occasions in written material, consciousness with an uppercase C, capital C. For he was much aware how the word consciousness has been used in various other contexts in ways that are lesser than what Upanishads accord to this word. So, what is consciousness in the Vedanta, which is one last time called pure consciousness? There are many Sanskrit words which refer to it or which actually call it that way. What are those words? One of the Mahavakyas uses the word Prajnanam, Prajnanam Brahma. Pure light that you and I are is the ultimate reality. That is the Mahavakya. That is the great statement found in the Aitareya Upanishad of Rigveda. Elsewhere in the Upanishads and allied literature, consciousness, the absolute one, is referred to by words like prajna or jnanam, satyam jnanam anantam brahma. And you must read Adi Shankaracharya's commentary on that statement. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma. This is found in the Brahmananda Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad. And Shankaracharya, whom we call Bhagavan Vashyakara, the great commentator on the Upanishads, on the Gita, and on the Brahma Sutras, the three of them being called the Prasthanatraya. Shankaracharya throws light on the word Jnanam, and the statement is Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, and Anantam Brahma. It is three sentences merged into one sentence over there. Take Jnanam Brahma. Jnanam, there is pure consciousness. He says, when you say Jnanam Brahma, it is not any limited knowledge. It is not any specific knowledge. It is not any particular knowledge. It's not knowledge of any object as such, but it is the very principle of knowledge which is present for any particular knowledge to take place. It is the very tattva, jnana tattva. And he clarifies that it cannot actually be really verbalized or caught in the scope of a word. You may use the words chit, Prajnanam, prajna, samvit. Samvit is another word for pure consciousness in the Vedanta. Use any number of words. Chit, chinmaya, someone who is 100% pure consciousness. If you see something other than consciousness in him or in her, that is the problem with your mind. Actually, Shiva, Mahavishnu, your Guru Tattva is all Chinmaya Tattva. Chinmayam Vyapi Yat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Don't we say in the Guru Stotra, which is from one of the Puranas, I guess, the Guru Stotra, beginning with Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Sachacharam, etc., is not from any Veda, it's not from any Upanishad, it is from some Purana. And the 14 verses typically have one of the shlokas saying, Chinmayam Vyapi Yat Sarvam. That Guru Tattva, the principle of Guru, that Chit Tattva is Chinmayam. 100% Chaitanya, pure awareness. And in one of the Prakarana Granthas, or a little hymn, so to say, this pure consciousness has been praised as a fire that purifies everything. Manisha Panchakam has an expression, Samvinmaye Pavake. Burn the past, burn the future, burn all notions of time in the Pavaka. Pavaka means fire, Pavaka means Pavayati, that which purifies you. In that principle, which purifies, drop, offer all your anxiety about future, regrets about past, and ideas about who you are, how you are, whether successful or failure, whether a sinner or a merited person. You and I carry the burden of self-judgments in us, even as we are sitting in a five-star place, air-conditioned, beautifully decorated. And what is more, some people are treating us, with love and respect. Everything is superb, but our mind may say, "Ha, oh my life is not as good as it should have been. I am not a good man. I am not a worthy person." Who is saying all this? It is thoughts. And Manisha Panchakam says, pour all those thoughts like an oblation into the fire of a yajna, of a homa, of a havana. Like that, samvinmaye pavake is an expression. And so well said. Doesn't Bhagavan Sri Krishna also say, Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. There is nothing so pure and purifying as right seeing. Not the mere scholarship of a scholar. The scholarship of a scholar is typically verbose. It is a number of very interesting, very impressive words, and those words can, of course, make an impact on an audience. And the scholar also, as she delivers her lecture to a packed audience, she may feel on top of the world, but it comes and goes. The real liberating fire of knowledge is a certain insight which defies any definition. Therefore, this pure consciousness is no other than Brahma itself, about which the Upanishads say, Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Vachaha, speech, and manas, mind, word and thought, they fail to come anywhere near Brahman. They return empty-handed as though, in other words, not any spoken word or written word, not any idea thought out, concept brought in our mind, not any visualization can come anywhere near Brahman. Therefore, Shankaracharya also, talking about the nature of pure consciousness, pointed out by the word Jnanam in that very famous statement, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, says this word Jnanam has a Lakshyartha. It doesn't have a Vachyartha. Vachyartha means when a word is able to grasp or bring within its scope a certain object. When the word can bring the object within its scope, when you see a cow and you tell a friend, look, this is a cow. Now the object, that is that animal cow standing 10 feet away from you, and the word you use, this is a cow, they connect. The word cow embraces the animal, actual animal over there, and the actual animal ties up or unites with the word. So, can the word jnana point out as though something can be seen or heard or smelled or touched or conceived or visualized? Can the word do that job? The word fails. Then what under the sun does the word do? Then why does that mantra say three words, Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anantam Brahma? What do those words do then if the words fail in pointing out actually? Actually, with proper guidance from competent Vedanta teachers, when you study the Upanishad, preferably with Shankara's insightful comments on them, what happens is you develop a certain deep understanding in which a million notions you had about Brahma drop away. Therefore, Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anantam Brahma. And this evening we are especially concerned with Jnanam Brahma. Jnanam is consciousness, pure consciousness. So, in the matter of understanding what is meant by Jnanam Brahma, superficially, Jnanam Brahma seems to be a definitive statement. It defines Brahma, but Brahma cannot be defined. Therefore, scratch the surface. Therefore, deliberate a little with guidance from competent teachers. Then you find that all that the word Jnanam does is not really define, not really bring Brahman within its scope, but it eliminates. That's called negation. No wonder Yadnavalkya in Brahadaranya Upanishad says it out. O King Janaka, he says, Saha Vijneyaha, that Atma, that ultimate truth is to be known. Na iti, na iti. Neti neti, saha Vijneyaha. It's really negation only. But for Madhyama Adhikaris, not those who are very sharp and bright and pure hearted, but those who are pretty good but not as good. Those who have certain ability, who are involved, who are sincere, who are working on the Vedanta, but alas, their baggage, their sanskaras, their vasanas, their past karmas, call whatever you call. Somehow it is as though some negative forces are holding them back. Many a time, you are capable of doing something, and somebody says, "Can anybody do this? Good work, good piece of job." And in your heart, you feel, "Yeah, I can do it." You almost put one step forward, but then something holds you back. Maybe I cannot. Why should I make a fool of myself? Let me see, someone else perhaps will do it. And then somebody else goes and does it, and later say, "Actually, I could have done it better." If you could have done it better, why did you not step forward and just do it? There are some people who in meetings are all hesitant. They don't talk at all. And after the meeting, they have something to say. They say, I actually wanted to say. In fact, I knew. I. They say, I. Alright? In the meeting, if you knew, why did you not raise a hand and say it? Some, as though a devil is holding you back. Some mental complex, some confusion. Like that in the Vedanta, these Madhyama Adhikaris are unable to grasp pure negation. For them, the support of something which seems to be a description is needed. They are so fond of describing. They are fond of, saying, "This is it, this is it, this is it." To say, "This is not, this is not, this is not," or "not this, not this, not this," is a bit hard for them. Just as among us, there are many who talk, who write, who speak, who is moving about. And a simple thing called remaining silent or sitting at one place is next to impossible for us. Vasanas. So Madhyamadhikaris are given these 3 pointers, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, and Madhyamadhikaris are celebrating, they are dancing in joy. Finally, we got 3 pointers. But in his Bhashya, Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, if you scratch the surface, these 3 descriptive words are actually negational. They do negation. They negate what consciousness is not. Pure consciousness is thus something that cannot be described, because moment you describe, it becomes particularized. The word consciousness, many times used synonymously with awareness, refers to some social problems also. There is a lot of awareness these days about the harm plastics bring to our life. Awareness of drugs, awareness of plastics, awareness of consumables available in the market. Buy milk, buy vegetables, buy fruits, order food via Swiggy, Zomato, or none of them is guaranteed to be pure. You don't know. Maybe at the very place it is prepared, something could be wrong. Wrong materials, or sometimes we get scary WhatsApp videos. Some places they prepare certain food, and just before sending it over to you, there is some staff member who spits into it for whatever reason. Or the food was pretty pure when it was prepared, but it is being sent. The delivery boy, sometimes it is alleged, opens it, and maybe it takes a bit of that food and maybe spoils it a little, spits over it, closes again. Shiva Shiva. So you have these issues. Therefore, coming back to the theme proper, the pure awareness is, we are talking about it, and this awareness of, you know, uh, everything being impure, everything being polluted, etc. Awareness of nowadays fake audios, fake videos. Your voice can be picked up by some software and they will generate then a message in your voice. Voice cloning, I heard the word other day. Voice cloning. So there is some software available. You speak for 5 minutes with a mic on. The software takes your speech and then you give a 100 pages book, text matter, text. So with the OCR, optical character recognition and whatnot, the machine reads that text and gives out that whole book, 100 pages or more, in a voice which is clone, which is exactly like yours. Where did it get that voice? Oh, that 5 or 10 minutes of speech you gave as a sample, that's enough. What a dangerous time we are living in with artificial intelligence, ably aided by 5G and all kinds of hardware and software in place. We say life has become more comfortable. Life has become more dangerous also. So we say there is an awareness of this menace in the society, that problem, this injustice, that cruelty, that evil practice, this superstition, awareness, consciousness. But we are using the word consciousness in something which doesn't come even one notch below the purest form, which is not particularized. There is this beautiful text of Vedanta attributed to Sri Shankaracharya, but probably it is by someone else. The book I am referring to is Drik Drishya Viveka. Drik is the seer. Drishya is what is seen. The subject-object relationship. The very first verse of that work, which in some verses goes up to 31 verses. In some versions, there are many more verses also. Whatever it is, the first verse over there is Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik Tadrishyam Driktumanasam Drishya Dhivrittayah Sakshi Drigeva Natu Drishyate. A very wonderful single verse says so much. Forms, by forms is meant colors also. Forms and colors are drishya, rupam drishyam. And at a certain level, eyes, used in singular here, lochanam, drik. Drik is the seer. Forms and colors are the seen, eyes are the seer, sounds are the seen, ears are the seer, touch is this seen, the skin is the seer, taste is the seen, drishya, jihva, the tongue is the drik, and smell is the seen, the nose is the seer. You may extend that. So the indriya vishayas are the seen, and on a certain level, we're going slowly deeper, the indriyas, sense organs, are the seer. But Dadrishya Viveka's first shloka says, Rupam Dadrishyam Lochanam Drik, Tadrishyam, Tad Lochanam api Drishyam. The eyes also become what is known. Driktu manasam. Second step, the mind is the seer. For our mind knows. Mind here is inclusive of mana and buddhi. Mind knows. My eyesight is good today. Last 2 or 3 days, my eyesight was blurred. But thank God, the ophthalmologist gave me the right medicine after putting those clear drops, etc., in my eyes. Ah. So, who is aware of eyes not seeing well or seeing well? Manasam, that is mind. What is mind? Third level. Mind is, after all, number of thoughts. Kama, santa, vinkalpa, sandeha, shraddha, ashraddha, dhriti, adhriti. Brahadaranyaka Upanishad has a mantra which gives a list of various thoughts, notions, ideas. Drishyaha dhivrittayaha. So all these thoughts and emotions, sentiments, ideas, notions, etc., called vrittis, these constitute the manasa or the buddhi. And are they the ultimate seer? Not at all. There is something deep in us, we'll call it sakshi. Drishyaha dhivrittayaha sakshi, sakshat ikshate. Something that sees directly without requiring an instrument of microscope or telescope or horoscope or oscilloscope or this scope or that scope. No, no medium is needed. There is certain witnessing principle in us. We are that witnessing principle and we notice various kinds of thoughts. When we have a feeling, I am such a wretched person, Vedanta says, just be aware of the light that is illumining that thought. Be that light. Vedanta's teaching is you are the light of all lights. During daytime, sun and the night, moon are the light. When sun and moon are not available, some lamps, nowadays electric lamps, are the light. When they too are not available, maybe fire is light. When fire also is not available, what is the source of light? Again, I am drawing from Brahadaranyaka Upanishad from a section called Jyotir Brahmana, on which also we had a session in this series or on this platform of meditation and study circle. When none of them is available, then ultimately it says, the light of all lights is you. You yourself are the light of all lights. I am the light of all lights. Sri Krishna calls it Jyotishamapi Tajyotihi, light of all lights. Jnanam Jneyam Jnanagamyam Hradi Sarvasya Vishtitam. Everybody, Sita, Gita, and Nita, have this light in their Hridaya. Hradi Sarvasya Visheshena Stitam, Vishtitam. That is the light. I am the light. And that light never goes off. Even if you want, you cannot turn it off. Because you are the light. You can't turn yourself off. For by nature, you are indestructible. The essential sadhana of Vedanta is to see the indestructible in the midst of a million false things which are perishing all the time. Vinashyatsu avinashyantam yah pashyati sapashyati, says again Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter. And what is that which never gets destroyed, which never dies, which never perishes, which doesn't even become less? That is consciousness. Vedanta says consciousness is that, as it came up in Dridrishya Viveka, which never becomes objectified. It sees all, it as though operates through the mind, the senses, and various external instruments. I have my mind, then I have the eyes, and to help my eyes see a distant planet, I use a telescope. Somebody once said humorously, astronomers use telescopes, electronics engineers use oscilloscope, medical professionals use a stethoscope, some botanists and others use microscope. Pandits also use horoscope. They included horoscope of all things with this telescope, microscope. And that speaker that day was speaking on powers of the mind. And he rightly added, whether you are using a telescope or horoscope or oscilloscope or microscope or no matter what instrument they are using, to use all those instruments properly, you need to have a healthy, functional mind. Therefore, the mind is the scope of all scopes. But Vedanta comes in and adds, even for the mind to do its job, there has to be pure consciousness. Therefore, Kena Upanishad says that is the ultimate truth, which is pure consciousness only, which the mind can never know. But drawing the light from that pure consciousness, mind is able to know millions of things. Yan manasa na manute, yena ahu manomatam, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, nedam yadidam upasate. Much before Christianity or Islam, or probably Judaism also, the Semitic religions as we call them, much before they announced God cannot be worshipped in idols, the Upanishads had said, Na idam yadidam upasate. When you worship God in this statue or that idol, this shivalinga or that shalagrama, this symbol or that graphic or symbol, that stone or that wood, that form is not Brahma. Brahma is that by which the mind is able to know everything. Brahma is that which the mind cannot know. Oh, if Vedanta is a part of Vedas, as you know. If Sanatana Dharma, if Hinduism, if the wisdom of our country, India, had long back said that idols are not God, then why did we not stop it? Well, anybody who is a little educated in Hinduism knows very well that he is not worshipping the idol as such. Idol is representative of an ideal. In the Ten Commandments of Moses, Moses received 10 commandments from God. I guess he received them on tablets. Tablets at that time meant pieces of stone on which I guess they were inscribed, something like that. Today you say tablet, they would say, you mean you have a Apple tablet or you have a Samsung tablet? In between, tablets meant medicinal tablets. But good old in biblical language, tablets were pieces of stone on which some inscription were there. Among the 10 commandments that the three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, honor, because 10 commandments are part of the Old Testament, which is accepted by all these three religions. One of the 10 commandments is, do not worship me in any image. Paramahamsa Yogananda, the most well-known saint, biographer, writer of his own autobiography, which is called as the autobiography of a yogi, he wrote a commentary on the Ten Commandments before dying. And probably it was published after his death, or maybe when he was alive. But there is a book. Paramahamsa Yogananda says the meaning of don't worship me in an image is not literally in don't worship me in an idol. Don't make the mistake of thinking I am limited to the idol. Worship an image. After all, Christians worship the cross. From our point of view, the cross also is an image. It's almost like an idol. Islam has its symbols also. Judaism also has symbols. Even words are images. What is imagined is an image. So the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, all have words and sounds and imageries and pictures and certain things the mind attaches itself to. So do not make the mistake of limiting God to that idol. God is infinite. An idol made of panchaloha or copper or silver or gold or anything. An idol is limited. No idam, this is not God. God is infinite. But if this helps you to concentrate, this helps you focus your emotions, this helps you gather your wandering mind, collect your thoughts, use it as a stepping stone. So Kenopanishad, coming back to it, says the ultimate truth is that which empowers the mind to think thoughts, but it never becomes object of the mind. Yan manasana manute yenahur manomatam tadeva brahmatvam viddhi nedam yadidam upasane. Now I will touch upon one last point, and that is of mysterious nature. Consciousness alone is the truth. That consciousness has no boundaries. That consciousness can never be objectified. That consciousness itself is everything you see. This is where great mysticism comes into the picture, enters the scene. What? I am consciousness. Using my mind, my senses, I see an apple, which is fine. I am consciousness. The apple is the scene. These eyes also are the scene. Mind also is the scene. They are all drishya, 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 drishya. The pure consciousness alone is drik. It is one without a second. All that is wonderful. But now you say pure consciousness alone is, and if you saw an apple or an orange, elsewhere you can say you can't compare an apple with an orange. But here in this context, an apple or orange makes no difference. An apple or an orange, you see, now, which I may call a quantum leap of Vedantic insight, hard for Madhyamadhikaris, is you are the light in which knowledge of apple takes place. You are the apple. You are the seen. You are the seer. This is very hard. How is it that the seen is also the seer only? this afternoon in Borivali or Kandivali, I guess, Borivali somewhere. In Mumbai, a small group gathered. They have been studying Vedanta for some time. And the gentleman asked the question. He began his studies years ago in the mid-90s in Lagos, Nigeria. Eventually, he has moved back to India. He lives in Borivali. And this doubt bothers him. How do we say that there is no real world? Brahma alone is this world. How do you say that I am not only the seer, but I am the seen also? This is a quantum leap. Suddenly you took another jump, you shifted the gear. As long as you said whatever is objectified is anatma, the subject, the eternal subject, the ultimate subject is atma. Fine. Makes it somewhat easy to appreciate. But even what is seen is Brahma. So we had to engage in a little bit of discussion. What is seen seems to gather a sense of reality. We forget that the equipment which we use are of questionable credentials. Suppose I wear glasses that are with a red tinge, red glasses. A plain white wall will look red. But is that white wall actually red? Take the glasses out and oh, it is white. It's the glasses. Our eyes have certain range of frequencies. That is the eyes, the rods and cones and whatever you know the anatomy of eyes. They are able to perceive frequencies of electromagnetic waves. At the higher end, it is violet. At the lower end, it is red. One more step you go, ultraviolet, human eyes cannot see. Instruments see. One step below you go, infrared. Our eyes cannot see infrared. There are some instruments which can see. So red to violet is the range which the human eyes are able to see. If tomorrow your great-grandchildren, because of some good or bad reason, are born with eyes which have a wider range of perception, the world that they see will be different from the world that we see. Because the rods and cones and whatever other elements of the eye, the instrument of seeing, have new parameters. They have greater range. They have different architecture in them. So which is true? What our eyes saw, or our great-grandchildren, if they have some different kind of eyes God or nature has given them, the world they see. Vedanta says, wait a minute. Rather than being in a haste to decide which is true, A or B, why not go a little more philosophical and say, this A, this B, and 200 years down or 2000 years down the road, there may be another generation of human beings who have yet another kind of eyes. The spectrum of frequencies that their eyes can perceive is much higher. The spectrum of sound vibrations that their ears can perceive are much higher. The spectrum of inputs that their skin can perceive, their nose can perceive, their tongue can perceive, all change. Then version A, version B, version C, version D. It cannot go beyond Z. There are only 26 letters. Version Z, version Z. Vedanta says, oh dear, all these versions are not the truth. The truth is pure consciousness, thanks to Thanks, we are not thanking anybody here. Thanks to means due to. Thanks to an error in seeing, an error in understanding, which is called adhyasa, which is called avidya in Vedanta. Error in seeing itself is avidya. So because of this error, one thing that happens as though happens, really nothing happens. Really nothing happens. Brahma was, Brahma is, and Brahma again will be. But Iva, in Sanskrit there is a word called Iva. Rajuhu sarpaha Iva drishyate. The rope appears as though it's a snake. The rope doesn't become a snake even for a split second. Therefore, finally the prahara. Prahara means the assault. Vedanta students should not remain content with bits and pieces of some beautiful poetry or some metaphor here and there. They should do the last assault, prahara, on that ignorance, error in seeing. Due to the error in seeing, what is one appears to be two. What is pure light splits into as though the seer and the seen. First, we try to, in the methodology of Vedanta, we try to help the student shift her attention from the seen to the seer, and then at the right point of time, the seen and the seer are understood to be one only. Let me end my presentation quoting Chandogya Upanishad, where Sanat Kumara says, when you see the undivided whole, which is infinite, which is Bhuma, Yo vai Bhuma Tat Sukham, then you find you will have true happiness. It gives a definition of Bhuma. What is Bhuma? Sanat Kumara says, Yatra na anyat pashyati, Yatra na anyat shrunoti, Yatra na anyat vijanati, where there is nothing other than you to see, where there is nothing other than you to hear, where there is nothing other than you to know. Anyat na pashyati, anyat na shrunoti, anyat na jigrati, smelling, anyat na vijanati. That is Bhuma. And therefore, in the Vedanta, consciousness is the one and the only one truth which exists. All else is appearance. The rope itself is the snake. Not even for 2 seconds, a snake made a guest appearance and sat on the rope and said hello to us. And then we turned the flashlight, torch on, the snake ran away. No, the rope alone was, the rope alone is, the rope alone will be. Consciousness, pure consciousness, which is no different from Brahma, alone was, is, and will be. And you and I should realize we are pure consciousness, full stop. Pure consciousness, period, as they say in the West. Let me pause here and invite some questions if there are any. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha.
Consciousness, what you explained, is seeking consciousness is Gnana Marga, means following Gnana,
Yeah.
you said. And we have been kind of taught or going through, first you follow Karma Marga and attain Chitta Shuddhi level, then only start seeking Gnana Marga. Then it becomes for a common man, common person, this and also it is told that karma marga and gnana marga cannot go together. That is also there. So how the consciousness, how do we means at what stage or what is that a common man should do to realize consciousness?
Common man should do karma and upasana sincerely and on a trial basis, here and there, a little bit of Vedanta he may try to understand, but hurriedly and hastily he should not leave aside, on one hand, karma and upasana, on the other, the moral and ethical practices of daily life. So even if he falls 100 times from dharma, he should get up again and walk the path of dharma. Even if 100 times he told lies, he should again try to speak the truth next time. So that is dharma. So dharma, karma, upasana. Karma and upasana you may be knowing very well. Karma is where some physical action is involved. Upasana is more mental visualization. You think of Mahavishnu, Shantakaram, Bhujagashayanam, without any movement, no puja samagri, no ringing of bell. That is how upasana. So karma is where samagri, material and action, getting up, sitting down, etc. is involved. Upasana is manasa vyapara, more mental. And jnana is, in the Vedanta context, the what you meditate on and what you are become one. That is jnana. So you very rightly said, 999, if not more, out of 1000 are not ready for jnana. Therefore, here and there, they may just get a little awareness. Listen to some Swamiji who is talking on Vedanta. Very nice. These are very uplifting thoughts. Good to know. But then it's time for you now to take your japamala and do japa. Just do japa. That's what we Vedanta teachers also, after bamboozling all of you with high Vedanta, I go to my puja room and say Shantam Papam. I confuse so many people and take Japamala Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaksh, forgive me for talking all this high Vedanta. Hope the audience is not completely confused. So we must stay put. Excuse me for my perhaps too much of humor. We must primarily or predominantly. And second part of your question is, how long? That when you are ready for Vedanta, you will know, sir. It's like a 12-year-old boy asked his mother, Amma, when will I fall in love with a girl? The girl said, you will not ask this question after 4 years. By the time you are 15, 16 or so, then I have to pull you back from some girl whom you may be following. So just as biological changes take place, that a boy gets attracted to a girl, like that, thanks to karma and upasana, thanks to satsanga, you will spontaneously, naturally, you will feel like, reflecting more on Vedanta Vakya. You will feel very naturally the ability to withdraw from sense indulgence. Whereas if there is not enough Chitta Shuddhi, after listening to a lot of Vedanta or even giving lectures on Vedanta, right when the Vedanta is over, you'll find, shall we go to that new place which has opened next road and have that masala dosa? It's getting very popular there. Like that, Vishaya Sakti, the attachment to enjoyments lingers. So enjoyed Vedanta, but I'm still very much on the plane of sense objects. You understand? So this will come. So keep doing, you will know. And when you know, yes, somehow there is a change in me. Oh my God, I can't believe. Wasn't it the same person who at one time was so much attached to pleasures? Whereas now, even when somebody serves it on a platter, Somebody goes and brings the best masala dosa of Bangalore in front of us. We will say, please keep it. I'm doing some japa. I will take it later. Naturally. That means Chitta Shuddhi has happened. That's so with Kama, Krodha also, anger. There was a time where you could not control your anger. Then comes a time where you cannot control your forgiving, loving nature. It comes out up and above.
Swamiji, you said Madhyama Adhikari and they have the phenomenon of neti. Couldn't understand that
No,
association.
Madhyamadhikaris cannot engage with neti. They want evam iti. See, neti is negation of what Brahma is not. Whereas Madhyamadhikaris, middle level, they want definition of what Brahma is. About cow or rose, about a flower or an animal, about rainbow or about sun or moon, about million things of the world, it's possible to describe them. And about Brahma, it's not possible to describe. So we can only say what Brahma is not. So
Okay.
that's the level of negation. And Madhyamadhikaris cannot engage with that negation. At the most, they will do lip service to it. That is, they will talk about it and this we are very true. We read it last other book also. Let's go ahead now, they will say. But deep inside them, they are longing for a description. See, in Bhakti Marga also, if you say, think of Shiva with Ganga upon his head, Trishula in his hand, Madhyamadhikaris would be able to concentrate. Then suppose there is a mantra, Shiva is indescribable. Shiva cannot be caught in words. Shiva cannot be described in a thought or word. Then Madhyamadhikaris find it hard. Uttamadhikari, there are three, Manda, Madhyama, Uttama. Uttamadhikaris are able to enjoy that kind of pointer. It's not a description, it's a pointer. Shiva has no name, Shiva has no form.
Something like Nirvikara and Sakara.
Nirvikara, Nirakara, Nirguna, correct. Nirguna, Nirakara is not the cup of tea of Madhyama. Though they may talk about it. In a study class, you have it, you go through it. You have somewhat familiar ground, at least as the words are concerned.
It's a part of the evolution also in it.
Correct. Yeah. If we stay put on the sadhana patha, we develop the qualities of Uttamadhikari. We have to patiently stay put, not to take long breaks. Haji.
This awareness, when you said awareness, can we, pure awareness, can we think of a kind of a reflection of consciousness?
See, awareness with an uppercase A, when you write it, awareness as the ultimate truth. It is not anything reflected, it is what it is originally. But I forgot to include it in my presentation. In the Vedanta works, they do talk about reflected consciousness, that is Chidabhasa. Pure consciousness, as though is reflected in the mind, and that is Chidabhasa. The Chidabhasa is often equated with the ego. The ego is nothing but a certain thought that I am a very healthy person and it requires reflection of pure consciousness, but I am this, I am that, some kind of description is permitted there in the Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is the Jivatma. Chidabhasa goes from one Janma to another and so on. Yeah, reflected consciousness is included in the whole literature, but our consideration in this presentation was more about the pure consciousness. What is consciousness ultimately? The ultimate consciousness is not anything reflected. It is that which may be reflected in within the frame of reference of what you call teaching methodology. There is one Adhyaropa. Within the Adhyaropa, we talk of many things, and pure consciousness gets reflected in mind. In the ultimate negation, there is no mind also. When there is no Adhyaropa, that is deliberate superimposition, there are no two. That's how towards the end of my talk I said the seen is seer only. The two goes away. Two makes way for one undivided whole. That's Sanat Kumara saying, Yatra na anyat pashyati, Yatra na anyat shranoti. That's mind-blowing. Though I talked about it, it's not that I have fully grasped it. But that's the beauty of those mantras. It gives us a certain feeling, wow, but we don't know. So they say it happens when it happens. Yap pashyati sa pashyati. Yada pashyati tada pashyati. Yatra pashyati tatra pashyati. You will see it when you see it. You will see it where you see it. He who sees it in this way. There's a little puzzling expression made, not without reason.